everyone, Neve here with the Rainbow Cauldron, and this is your weekly general reading for February 18th through the 24th, 2018. I will start off pulling a card from this Oracle deck, and this month we are using the Brian Frode's Fairies Oracle, and that will represent the general theme of the week, something to think about. And then I will pick 3 cards from the tarot deck that we're using this month, which is the Shadowscapes Tarot, and that will represent the general flow of energy throughout the week. Alright, so let's get started. Alright, so as I've said in the previous weeks, this deck is not a deck that I use very often. And because of that, I'm not as familiar with all the cards. So I do have the book that goes along with it, and I will probably bring it in to read from it a little bit so that we can get a better idea of what the cards are telling us this week. Alright, so the RAR. Okay, so, and it's card number 52, which actually does connect with last week's card, which was 34, and both of these reduced to 7. So this is connected with last week's card. Now, this is actually an example of why I don't use this deck very often, and it's because of some of the cards like this. So last week's card, if we remember, was the Sylvanus, and it had so many visual cues in it as to what it represents. And before we even grabbed the book last week, I was able to figure out a lot of the things in the card that it was trying to tell us without even using the book. However, there are several cards in this deck that are just like this, that are a lot more ambiguous. There's not a lot of information that we can really get from this sort of imagery. We're just seeing kind of a ball floating through space with some wings and spikes coming out of it, and it's blue. So there's not a whole lot we can really get from this card just from the imagery alone. So I'm going to grab the book and we can see what this card, what their intentions were with this card. Okay. Card 52, the RAR. Wild energy, pure potential. Okay, so I wouldn't, I can kind of see that with the imagery, only because the spikiness, the stuff coming off is rather wild. However, I would expect this card to be more of a red or orange, something, a warmer color than a cool color like blue. And because a blue color I associate more with calmness. Whereas red and fiery energy I associate with fire and energy. So that's the main difference I'm seeing, but I can see a lot of wildness to it. So what this says: once upon a time there were 3 pink boys, more or less, and a RAR, who all played in Brian's son Toby's bedroom. They liked the midnight tea parties, the magical ambiance and of course, they liked Toby. Unfortunately, the pink boys got too rowdy, and Brian had to throw them out into the garden, which was where they belonged anyway. The RAR learned from the experience in a rarish way, and it quieted down a bit during midnight hours. RARs are not naughty or wicked, just energetic. They are also not very discriminating. They like to join into whatever excitement is going on and add energy to it. In a way, they are pure potential, and they potentize whatever is happening. RARs are attracted to mobs riding and to meditation groups rising toward ecstasy and to any other strong energy states. RARs are a bit like Tigger in the Pooh series. They bounce, they zoom, they go off on wild tangents. Brian hasn't painted a wild tangent yet, and as far as I know, but I know what they look like, having encountered more than my share. Think of the roar of a growling dog, the roar of an engine revving up, the rrr of a purring cat, and the R of R. As I say, roars don't discriminate. It is up to us to do that. They put a live spark into whatever is happening. It is our choice what we do with it. All right. So, as this card, as the book is telling us about this fairy being, is that it's wild energy and it's full of potential. It's energetic, but it's needing guidance. It needs something to latch onto. It needs someone to focus that energy. Like it was saying in the story that it learned from Brian putting out the pink boys into the garden where they belonged, that at certain times don't connect, like don't be somewhere where you don't belong. At certain times there's low energy, and to stay away from that, learning from that. So we're seeing a being mindful of what you're doing with your energy, and possibly looking to guidance to help focus that. All right, so let's get to the tarot cards. All right, so the first card is Page of Wands, which I feel like very much is very similar to this here. All right, and then we have Knight of Swords. Okay, I can see how these are connected here. And finally, we have the Two of Cups. All right, let me move these up a little bit. So let me start here with the end card. We're seeing some teamwork here. We're seeing a partnership. Two heads are better than one. The marrying of ideas. And of course, the cups and the Two of Cups has a lot to do with love and your romantic partner, but that's not necessarily what it's talking about here. It's more of a marrying of ideas and working together in a partnership. So we're starting off as the Page of Wands here, and this is that wild energy, that pure potential. So the Page of Wands is a free spirit. It's very enthusiastic, eager to discover, eager to step out into the world and to discover what it has out there with great enthusiasm. However, the Page of Wands is inexperienced, and that's what we saw here with the Roar. It's full of potential, full of energy, but it needs guidance. And that is where the Knight of Swords comes bursting through, starts charging in full speed. This is someone who is a just do it person. And they are a little bit more experienced than the Page. From Page to Knight, a Knight is more experienced. Now, I'm noticing that it's not a king or a queen. So it's not super experienced. It's just slightly more experienced than the Page. But it's going in full force, and it's dragging you along with it. With him, and says, let's just do it. Let's focus that energy and let's go. So so that is what we're seeing here. This is the guidance that we were looking for. This is the pure energy, the free spirit, eager to discover but inexperienced. And here is the guidance, focusing that energy and going headlong in for a marrying of partnership. Two heads better than one, going in together. And yeah, I think this was really short, but I think that's all that needs to be said. Yeah, pure energy, inexperience, needing guidance, going in full force, and having a true partnership here. All right, thanks for watching, guys. I will see you next week, and blessed be. Bye, everyone.